Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to do a review of the rolling backpack from Vanguard. This is the Heralder 51T. Had an issue a few months ago. I was traveling to shoot a wedding abroad, and I've had the same kind of rolling backpack that I've had for years, and it wasn't necessarily a great one to begin with. You know, sometimes you're attracted to the price of something, and it's fine at first, but not very durable for the long haul. But anyway, I was on this trip and the backpack was basically falling apart on me. There was all kinds of edges that were fraying, and beyond that, because the backpack never balanced all that well, when I was rolling it along through an airport or in settings like that, it always wanted to tip to one side. It never would seem to want to stay kind of level on the wheels. And so in the middle of hauling that through the middle of an airport somewhere, I made up my mind this was my last trip with that backpack. So after doing some research, I decided to try out the Heralder really for one particular reason, and that is because I knew how important it was to me to have a nice, stable, well-rolling bag. I noted that this one, unlike basically any other rolling backpack that I could find, it actually had 4 wheels rather than 2, and beyond that, they are more like the trolley-style spinner wheels that you find on better luggage, which gives you a whole lot more versatility on how you use it. You can pull it behind you. You can also kind of just roll it along beside you. You can push it in front. And when you're dealing with other luggage, other bags at the same time, having that kind of versatility I knew could make a big deal for me. And so I decided to give it a try. And so anyway, this was the bag that I used for my recent trip to Arizona, which I packed a number of different items along with me for traveling to that, including a couple of camera bodies, a variety of lenses. I took some flash units and some flash modifiers along. I had a travel tripod. That's the Oben CT3535 that I recently reviewed. And pack that here on the side, which it's set up to where you can obviously travel with a much larger tripod than that, but for the Oben itself, I was able to slip it into that side pouch and take up very little additional space for travel, and so that was a nice arrangement. So I had a variety of gear along with me, and so anyway, I'm here to give you kind of my real-world feedback on how the bag performed for that kind of setting. Now, the first point that I want to make, if you're looking for a backpack or a rolling backpack, you need to have kind of a clear idea as to what the priority is for you. For example, if you feel like your priority is that you mostly want a backpack that maybe has some wheels that you can occasionally pull, then I would say that this is really not the best bag for you. And the reason why is that, you know, I've got this Vanguard Thunderhead 75 bag. As you can see, the bags are pretty much, you know, if you take off the extra height from the Vanguard for the wheels, they're pretty much the same size. And they hold roughly an equal amount of gear in my real-world use of them. But there's a big difference in the weight. The Vanguard, and mostly it's because of the solid bottom plate and the wheel assembly on it, the Vanguard comes in at a pretty hefty 9.6 pounds compared to the Vanguard Thunderhead, which if you haven't seen my review of the Vanguard, you can see that here. But the Vanguard, because it is a backpack only, it comes in at 5.5 pounds. So not quite half the weight, but not far off either. There's an over 4-pound weight difference between the two. And so if you're looking for something light that you're mostly going to backpack, this is not a great choice because it's somewhat hefty by comparison. But if you're looking for a bag that you're mostly going to use as a rolling case, but you would also like to backpack, I think that this is a great option for you. So first of all, let's just look at the reality that you can store a lot of gear inside here. It's set up to where you can hold 1 to 2 DSLRs and DSLRs with lenses attached. You also have room to put in 5 to 7 other lenses depending on their size and whether they're going to stand upright or need to lay over. You have room for a couple of flashes, and then you also have space for either, in the interior, you have space for either a 14-inch kind of widescreen type laptop or a 15-inch Ultrabook, depending on, kind of the configuration of your laptop. But pretty good size there for a laptop. Then there is an additional place to store a tablet if you want to carry along a tablet as well. And so some nice options in terms of interior storage. I've already noted that there's space for a tripod there. And so one other very, very nice kind of upside to all of this that I've actually already taken advantage of is that if it's kind of a dual purpose bag, in that if you want to, you can remove this whole inside lining for gear storage and then just turn it into basically a traditional carry-on luggage type bag that you can also backpack with a pretty fair amount of storage space because it's fairly deep. You've got quite a lot of room inside there. I'll also note that the bag comes along with a couple of additional little cases, one small zippered case that you can store. Got a little bit of padding. I used it actually to store some filters and things like that for the recent trip. There's also another case here that can actually clip onto one of the backpack straps. It's a good place to put your cell phone or something similar like that, and offers up some protection value. Maybe not a big deal, but just a couple of extra throw-ins that come with the bag there. Now, one thing I do want to note, I noted that in the user reviews at B&H Photo, when I was kind of doing my own research, that somebody had returned the bag because they said there was no trolley handle. And so they were stooped over trying to pull the bag along by, just the carry handle. Well, there is a zippered area here where there is a 3-stage trolley handle there that obviously it gets up nice and high. There's not an issue at all. I'm over 6 foot tall, and the strap gets up plenty high for even someone of my height. And so, I don't consider a downside that the trolley handle actually stores away very discreetly, if you're actually going to be backpacking it. But trust me that it does have an actual handle that is zippered in there. On top of that, the one thing that I do find nice is that if you're wanting to just roll it along, the straps themselves, both the waist strap and then of course the shoulder straps, they will actually tuck into this area and kind of get out of your way. And so that certainly is a nice thing if you're using it, primarily for the purpose of towing it along. And you just want to pull out those straps when you want them. But in a nice touch, there are actually wheel covers for the back 2 wheels that are tucked up inside of here, and you can actually just kind of pull those out and slide them over the rear wheels. And so, in this case, it helps in that purpose of keeping the bag, provides a little friction there so the bag doesn't roll away. But of course, the main purpose of these is if you're switching to backpack and you don't want to, whatever detritus might be on your wheels, you don't want to get that on your clothes, you can put on the wheel covers and they'll keep any kind of mess from getting on your clothes. A nice thoughtful touch that is just, one of the nice things about that. Everything here is made out of durable, nylon and polyester that is all designed for weatherproofing. And then on top of that, there is a full rain cover here that is also included inside the bag that you can access here. And so there is, and it's attached there, but it will cover up the entire bag to give you a rain cover, which, if you're doing gear related, that's always an important consideration as well. So to convert to the backpack, all you've got to do is you've got to take those straps. I had them tucked away here. So you just take out the shoulder straps, and the shoulder straps here, they do have a nice amount of padding on them. They will clip on down here. And then also there is a chest strap to help to provide the even pressure across your chest. And then tucked up inside of here on the bottom padded section, I've actually got the waist strap here as well. And so there is a waist strap that will come out and then come around to provide that extra kind of stability to balance the weight around your waist. So tucking all this stuff away if you're rolling it in an airport is important because otherwise it kind of gets in the way. There are some extra hooks and straps here if you're wanting to, clip on additional things. All of that, which of course is nice. Some nice padding down here, although I find when backpacking, at least for me, that the bag feels a little bit stiff against the bottom of my back. Not because there isn't plenty of padding, because there is, but almost because that pushes out. And so it's not, to me, the most comfortable backpack that I've ever used. It's far more functional as a rolling bag. And so there are, of course, all kinds of pockets, nooks and crannies along the outside. You can store things. I do like this pocket that it zips all the way around, so that gets you access to memory cards and some mesh inside here. My only complaint about the exterior pockets at the front or here on the side is that there isn't really any flex to them. It's a fairly sleek bag overall, which looks nice, but I find that, in this case, you can only put so much in there because there's no real flex to the bag itself. And so you're kind of limited by putting flatter type items in exterior pockets. There's some nice nooks I do find for, hiding away things, be it passports or money or whatever. And so that is a positive. One thing I do want to point out that I consider to be a negative, however, is that for a gear backpack designed kind of for airports, there aren't any built-in locks anywhere. And so if you've got a lot of expensive gear inside, which if I'm traveling, I will, I would prefer to have, a lock system built into it. And so you may have to provide your own exterior locks on zippers or whatever to help to protect. One thing that is nice to kind of discourage just more casual type encounters is that there is this strap that goes over the top of everything in terms of exterior access. And once that's clipped into place, no one can just kind of casually get at the zippers if they're fully done up, because it's all kind of underneath. And so that is something that does add a little bit of peace of mind. Now, regarding airline travel, the questions, I had no problem carrying the bag on. And just on that note, one of the reasons why I like a backpackable type bag is that I find that if you're coming up to the counter and to board your plane, they don't tend to look twice at something that you're actually carrying as a backpack. And so it seems to be much easier to just kind of carry it on board. And once on there, obviously it's too big to fit under your seat. And so one thing I will note is that you need to be prepared that whatever you need to have at your seat, you can be parted from that. But it will fit, at least in the flights that I was on with it so far, it will fit in overhead bins, although there's not a lot of room to spare. And so if you're flying on a smaller, like turboprop type plane, you may have to end up checking the bag. It may not fit into a smaller plane's overhead bins. But on the flights that I was on, I had no issue getting it into an overhead bin. So overall, it's tough, it's durable, it has lots of room to store gear, and it rolls along quite well, although I am having this particular bag looked at because I found that, although no other user review mentioned this, I found that it was kind of pulling a little bit to one side or the other when I was trying to pull it along, and so I think it's in some way specific to my particular bag, and I'm hoping to have it serviced to where it tracks a little more truly. Doesn't seem like anybody else had that problem, but it is great to be able to have that versatility to kind of pull it however you want, particularly if you're trying to manage other gear or maybe even stacking something on top. So tough, durable, has a good warranty on it. All of those things are good. Price-wise, it kind of depends on what end of the market you're looking at. As I said, it is unique in that it has 4 wheels rather than 2, and so that does give it kind of a killer feature in that sense. And so if you're looking at things like think tank type bags, it's less expensive than those. This comes in full retail at $299. I think it was closer to $250 when I actually purchased it. And I'll throw a link to B&H Photo down below for that. There are obviously less expensive alternatives out there. However, there are basically none that I was able to find that actually have the 4 wheels rather than 2. And so if you think that's something that might be important to you, this bag is fairly unique in that. So you can certainly find less expensive alternatives, and maybe one of those bags is a better choice for you. For me, I was looking for something, kind of for a specific task, and I wanted it to roll well and to be able to kind of convert into 2 different type bags. And this is doing that nicely for me. If you look down in the description below, I've also got a link to my full written review and maybe answer a few more questions as a part of that. As always, you can follow me on social media or sign up for my newsletter. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.